Okay, we're live. Give me 1 second to align the planets. Oh, it totally froze me. I'm totally frozen, aren't
Yeah, yeah, that's cool.
I? I mean, yeah, there's worse postures to be frozen in.
You look like you're deep in like precision.
Okay, well, I guess we'll just see if it unfreezes or not. Um,
Maybe you
Chad,
could turn your camera off and then
yeah,
turn it on. Nope.
nope, nope, yep.
Hey.
Do you want to introduce yourself in any way? Personally, I just always find introductions boring, so I
Yeah,
didn't prepare anything to talk about who you are. But if
yeah.
there's anything you want to say about yourself,
No, I think. I think anybody who would probably watch this already kind of knows, and those who don't, w- welcome. I
welcome,
guess.
welcome. So we're gathered here to talk about technology, essentially. As I have a computer and headphones and a microphone to speak to you, even though you're only 42 minutes away from me physically.
That's funny. Excuse me. Yeah. No, it's interesting. I woke up this morning and I had a bunch of alarm clocks set because I wanted to make it on time because yesterday usually I'm pretty good. Usually I get up around 3:30, 4 o'clock on weekdays for work. And yesterday I didn't. I got up at 5, which is pretty late for me. So then I was rushing around to get lunch going and stuff. And um, so I set all these alarm clocks and told Anne. She said, "Are you excited to talk to Ethan?" I said, "Yeah." And so I I woke up before the alarm clock, which is weird. Um, then I woke up and then I saw that Grim Grizz was live. He still might be live. And and I saw that Neil Daedalus did a conversation with Jonathan Demir.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, I was in the middle of last night before, um, in between our television watching uh, and my spending time with my daughter. I was watching a reaction video. This dude named Mister, I think Mister Video is his name. He was reacting to uh, a Ren song called. It's a series of songs called "The Tale of Jenny and Screech," which is an old video. Like everybody's reacted, is like has definitely seen this video, and he recently got his channel back, and um, so and I like his style of reaction video. He's entertaining, and I don't know if you ever get a chance to watch the Tale of Jenny and Screech. That's a pretty epic story. Um,
I have no idea what it is. I mean, maybe I would recognize it when I heard it, but
yeah, it's a well. Have you watched any Ren music
are you saying
videos?
like REM?
Ren, Ren.
No, I thought I
No,
assumed you were saying like the R period, E period, M period.
no, no.
So
So
I don't think I'm aware.
Ren is a musical artist from the UK who, like 2 years ago, had a pretty big video, kind of go, I guess, for lack of a better word, viral. A 10-minute song that's a one take music video, live, basically a live performance, and it is a stunning song called "High Ren." And then after people found that, they were like, "Wow, who's this guy?" And some people already knew who he was, but a bunch of people then found out who he was, and now he's like still an independent artist, very talented, kind of a poet of our time. I think he's outstanding. Anyways, I don't know why I'm talking about him other than to say, I mean, that's one aspect of the technology that I find, uh, this digital technology that I find really, um, charming, and I'm very grateful for. Is you can, I went for years without listening to new music because music was being delivered in like this really kind of tired and, um, what's the word? Like, uh, tired way, not really just tired, it's just they kind of like the radio and the old way that they were doing things. It just kind of like we're taking everything for granted. They had a particular formula that they would have to use to deliver new music, and it was always crap music. It wasn't There was nothing edgy about it, nothing exciting. And then, YouTube people, artists with no money and talent, a ton of talent, were like creating these interesting works of art, and Ren is one of them. And he does these, they're one take shots, they're live performances. There's like twists in the music store, in their storytelling. They call him, what do they call it? Bard core, BARD core.
Okay, so
And
this is sounding more and more up my alley.
yeah, and he's a rapper as well as you know he started playing guitar when he was like 18, so he's a late bloomer, and you could tell he's hungry, and he has, he's kind of got well known because he has these health problems, which is another aspect of kind of like the propolicity, that we see out there. I mean, he has like, um what's that? We get it in Wisconsin from ticks. What is that?
Oh, Lyme's disease.
Lyme's disease, and yeah, and he was misdiagnosed, and this is all part of his propolicity. And
Hey, when you say prophylicity, can you offer like a definition? And I don't mean like a technical, but just like what does that
yeah,
word mean to you?
well, it's kind of like somebody's profile. So like you have like if you look at me in real life, you'll notice a few things. One of them is like in person, if you meet me, I'm like 6'2", 300 something pounds. I have brown eyes. My face is kind of weird looking, but maybe charming. I don't know. It's like I have these
Definitely
attributes
charming.
there's attributes about me that you would know if you're my friend, you would know about me. And I think propolicity are attributes that we know about people online. They're kind of like their, um, kind of essential markers for, uh, like, I don't know, so personalities on online profiles. And so, like one of the ones with, yeah, like some of the things I said about Ren is that he's a guitar player. He's very talented, beautiful voice. He's a rapper. He has Lyme's disease. He's eccentric. All these different kinds of things are kind of his profile. These, you know, things that you could point to. Um, like I guess maybe one of your, like, if we talk about propolicity, like something that you have is, the people in the little corner of the internet know Ethan Kahi because of, he was the guy that, that had his conversion or came back to Christianity through Grok, and then spent time with us, and we really got to enjoy him and his personality, and so like that's a part of your propolicity, I think, for the people. And he's a writer, and and so all these different kinds of things are. I don't know. I try my best to kind of shake up my own whatever propolicity. I don't want to shape it. I want to break whatever happens to it, because I think that there are things that I don't want to be packaged, basically. And, not unless you know me. If you know me as a friend, then that's the profile that I would like us to share in, I guess. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah. So at the end, when you say the profile that you want to share, like as a friend,
Mhm.
could that be defined as like authenticity?
Um, Well, I guess I mean I try to be I try to be yeah, these are kind of so these terms propolicity, authenticity, and sincerity are all we kind of got these words from Paul Vanderklay, who got them from this guy named Georg Mueller, and who wrote a book. I can't remember the name of the book. I used to have it on Audible, but that guy was like studying online presence and sociology, I guess maybe, and Vanderklay tripped over these words somehow and shared them with the rest of us because he likes to do these things where he finds these little rabbit trails and then we're like, oh, that's interesting. This is a new language that we can talk about an aspect of something that is hard to have grammar for. And so this can kind of point to certain things. And authenticity is one where, I guess maybe a really, I don't know, Cliff Notes version of authenticity is, the root of that word is author. So somebody of authority. And so, like, identity. This is my identity, like that kind of a statement is a really authentic statement, a statement of authenticity. Or even like, I want to shape my propolicity is very authentic. I want to be authentic. But when I think about authenticity, one of the first times I ever heard the word authentic was had to do with Mexican food, because I was born in California, and in California we had authentic Mexican food. And what's interesting about authentic Mexican food is it's kind of like it's not really authentic. It's an American version of oftentimes, anyways, it's more of an American version of the genuine thing. So it's like, you know, and so but to be sincere to Mexican food would be like, well, I don't know, like you would actually make your own tortillas. You would actually maybe farm your own goats or whatever it is, and so maybe that's more a sincerity thing. Like, but in them, so yeah, these are all just really weird words. It's maybe an interesting way to take the conversation. Yeah.
Um, so earlier you said that you try to shake up your prophilicity or to
Mhm.
to as it gets created to break it.
Yeah.
And I know that you have, I think, like changed your channel name or you've removed things and then come back. Like, is all of that part of an attempt to like not be boxed in?
I think so. I don't think I was like setting out to do that. I think what happens is I'm kind of an unstable person. And
You
um,
and me both, brother.
yeah, and so like I like being liked and I like my friendships and things like this a lot. Like I need like yeah, actually yesterday I was driving home and I was just feeling really lonely. I was like calling a bunch of people and like nobody was able to talk and I was just feeling um alone. And I was thinking, man, in a world that's so connected, how can I feel so alone? And part of that is just my temperament. It's probably, part of my instability or whatever. But yeah, I've had moments where I've garnered quite a bit of attention. For me, a lot of attention in the online space. And like, I'm not somebody who, on the ground, how do I, maybe here's a way of putting it. Okay. So for, a lot of my life, I never felt like I was a good looking person. Like I wasn't in good shape or anything like this. And then there was a section in my life where I was deep in alcoholism and I was down like to 180 pounds. And I thought I looked great. And I would get a lot of attention that wasn't it was a certain type of attention that I could afford certain things, but it wasn't good for me, and so I didn't know how to handle that. And I would do some, I was promiscuous and all this different kinds of stuff, and it caused, some probably soul damage to myself, and I couldn't see myself accurately, and so I'm looking a certain way. I feel like it looks I feel like it looks good, but to my friends who are closest to me, they're like, "Dude, something's wrong with you." I'm like, "What? Like that looks great to me." So, like, how that relates to the online thing, it's like I get attention, and for a self-centered person, attention is kind of like gasoline on a fire. So it can, and so like it requires wisdom, which I don't really have. And so sometimes if I spin off, or if I like get too invested in certain narratives, like I can be captured by tons of narratives, and then I'm also like sensitive to um, what I guess what I would come to know as like spiritual realities. Like, one of the things that happened recently was it was like all too much. There was just too much stuff, and I had to get the fuck out of here. And so I burnt it all down because it was like it was too much, and I felt like something was telling me that it was time to sacrifice all of this. And so I did, and I felt great. It was a great thing to do. And now I'm back on my own personal thing, but I don't like I need to continue to try to approach it with humility, and like, which is difficult because that's not a second nature for me. And then I have to also, part of the humility would be to keep it rightly in its place, which is, this is for fun. This is a game. This is hobby. This isn't a, uh a religion or a job or something like that. It's like, this is, I get to say hello to Ethan. Hopefully Ethan and Ann and I and your wife can have dinner here, right here, at some point, and like, and and I get to use this particular platform. Whether, I don't know if this is on a Substack or not, but like I get to use that. That's a great place for me to practice the hobby thing, because I'm not a great writer, but I like to pretend to be a writer, and it's fun to do that on there, and it allows me to stretch creative sea legs that I so desperately need to stretch. And yeah, so there's that. Yep.
Yeah, I relate to most of that. Well, yeah, because I mean, like you and I encountered each other like a year ago ish, when I kind of like stumbled into this thing that we call the TLC. Do you want to, like, I don't know, give a definition, or like explain to someone who, because on Substack, like I've encountered some people that subscribe to my Substack that like aren't TLC people whatsoever, and I
Yeah.
don't know if anybody will watch it, but it's like I always want to try to like explain things to someone that might just, I don't know, not know what we're talking about.
Yeah.
How do you explain this little corner of the internet,
Mhm.
the thing that you and I participate in and make friends in? You've been doing it far longer than I have. How do you explain that to someone who's like, what, okay, what are you guys talking about?
Excuse me. First of all, I love your Substack. So I have great difficulty sitting and reading things. So when you take your writing and you turn it into video form, it helps me out tremendously, because like that's where I actually consume all of my literature, is through audio format. And I love your writing. So like I've tried to read, but I can never read as well as it's read to me. So like, I love your stories. I'm assuming the story that you put out yesterday was something you actually created, the hands thing. but we don't have to get into. We can keep the kayfabe if you want, but it's. I loved it. It was great. It's outstanding. Um, but that's what I think the TLC, this little corner of the internet, is for. In part, it's part. I think longing to connect with others. Um, it's where it may be difficult at times to connect on the ground with people in a deep way. And so we found that we can bypass some of that by doing it online. And we can connect from anywhere between discussions about any various topic that you can possibly imagine. Mostly it's religious or philosophical discussion. It's becoming more political, which is concerning. But it's a way, at the end of the day, it's a way to connect and play show and tell. I think that's kind of the, because part of it is like, to see and be seen is kind of like maybe one of the underlying patterns that of desire that brings us together, a desire to see and to be seen. And so that, I think, will inevitably lead to something like show and tell. And it started out as discussion between people talking about different various people in the culture. Primarily, I think it primarily started with um, people being interested in a guy named Jordan Peterson back before he got sick the first time. And I mean, there was really exciting time for everyday layman people who were hungry for meaning, and they found some meaning in a discussion about meaning. And so then they started talking about that, and then they started connecting, and that just kind of leads to where we are now, which is, more discussion about meaning, and but also exploring meaning in other ways other than just discussion. So it's like your stories that you're writing. So I love it that people have no idea what that is, who are finding your channel or your Substack, that don't know what it is, because I think the new people coming in and discovering the, I don't know. There's a hospitality, there's openness, there's kind of like a depth to it. There's also a levity to it. Uh, there's an invite. I think invitation invitation to participate. All that kind of stuff is really cool. It's like, yeah, I think, yeah. So there's that.
Yeah. Thank you for your kind words, Chad. I think I think it is true to say that I've read everything you've put on Substack thus far. And I always look forward to Tuesday mornings usually, because usually sometimes it's Wednesday mornings.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm I'm trying to think. Someone described you this way. But I can't remember how it went. It was like, I don't know. I feel like somebody described you as like a tuning fork. And so I'm always just curious, like what you're thinking about. I'm always curious, like what. And the thing with like your Substack writing is like, I can usually read it in under 10 minutes. When you do like a live stream, sometimes it's like 2 hours.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, well, I don't necessarily have 2 hours to like hear Chad's thoughts interspersed with beautiful guitar music. You're very talented at guitar. Well, then with Substack, it's like, oh, I can get these. So like the last thing you posted was like this little short story from like a flash fiction prompt that you and your wife both did.
Mm-hmm.
And my biggest takeaway from that was there was a piece of music you referenced that was playing in the diner. And I was like, I know Chad's into music. So I got to go look this music up. And it was like, was it, I don't know. Is it, I don't, probably not classified as jazz, but to me, it was like
Mhm.
kind of jazzy. And I was like, oh, this is fun. This is a new like Spotify thing I can save.
Yeah, it's definitely jazz. I usually listen to jazz while I'm writing, so that was part of the how it made it into it made it the jazz makes it into some of the writing that I do. For some reason, jazz that I'm unfamiliar with usually helps me because then it doesn't distract my the flow. If there's a song I'm familiar with, it'll distract me because then I want to listen, play along in my head with it. So if I'm listening to something that I'm not familiar with, it can play as background music, but also soothing in a way. Yeah, I like so uh, Substack. I've had a Substack for years, and I wrote on it for a little while, and then I stopped, and then I did video stuff, and then and then when I burned the channel to the ground, and I needed something, um, I had been kind of so years ago, my wife and I, before we were married, we would do this thing where we would find we had like this book of prompts. There's like 742 prompts that you can choose from. And so we decided that we would take a prompt, we would decide on a prompt together, and then we would go off in our own little space and start writing on those prompts. And then we would come back and we would share what we had written. Now I did this because I knew that she was a writer. And she when she was young, she wrote a lot and she loves reading and stuff like that. And she's a very talented writer. But she's also like very humble and she's like, I'm not good at it and I don't know what I'll do with it. This is like one of these traps where I think that OG Rose guy was talking about where people won't play guitar unless they know they can make money at it. And it's like people won't write unless they feel they're good at it or they can make money at it. It's like you don't need to be good at it or make money at it to be a writer. Like just write. And so she inspired me to write, and then I turned that around and invited her to write with me because I know that she's really good at it, and I know how writing makes me feel. And so we have like a whole like there's like 20 stories a piece that we have that are all these different prompts that we would do before we were married and when we first started dating. So it was like this courting practice that we would do and very intimate, where we would be creative with each other and share these stories. And I loved doing that. And that's where I discovered that I really loved writing. Well, eventually we moved, you go through seasons and we stepped away from that for a while. And I still continue to write poetry often. And, like I said, when I burnt down the channel like months and months before that, I was kind of like feeling like, man, I need to write something, but I just couldn't. Nothing was coming to mind, like I was feeling stale and bound up, and so the first writing that I did, uh, coming back was like like prompting myself to write something, and one of the phrases that had come to mind was this funny thing that I was thinking about where, you people always say, man, I can't believe it's already Thursday, or I can't believe it's already Friday. It's like one thing you never hear people say is, I can't believe it's already Tuesday. And I thought that was kind of clever and stupid. So that became like the title of this series where I'm using this downtime, this meditative time to write. And so I try to write whatever is kind of like wanting to be written, and so that's how that all and sometimes they're kind of journal entries, I guess, maybe. One of them was about death and thinking about that, and it's interesting becoming a father. I thought more about death than I have in a long time, and I can't really help it. It's on my mind, and um, And so, yeah, so that prompted this whole thing. And I wanted to, recently, Anne's friend gave her a book with 1,000 prompts in it. And we decided to just start back trying to do that again. Now it's all handwritten letters or handwritten stories. They're in notebooks. And
That's so cool.
yeah, it takes a lot, especially, I'm not a good speller. My punctuation's trash. Uh, and so I have to, like, it's kind of nice writing it and then like having to re-type it out and then I can edit it from there. But it's a lot of work, especially if you have like, several pages worth of stuff. But yeah, so that's the writing of that stuff. And yeah.
Well, I definitely lied earlier because I don't think I've read any of your Substack before the channel burning.
Hmm. Well, yeah, because nobody really knew about it.
It was your little secret.
Yeah, I mean, I wrote some stuff way back in 2023. Like I wrote about Sleep Token, and I wrote about like some TLC stuff, and then I just kind of like didn't write anything. So again, I think I go through seasons of interest, and right now I'm in a season of creativity. Like I really wish that I had the kind of drive and talent to sit and write a whole novel because like I have a story in mind that I want to hear, but I don't have the kind of uh, gumption or resources to actually write the story because it's too big. It's way too big for me. So I like short stories because I think I can do a lot with a short story. I love short stories. There's a lot jammed into them. Like the one that you just read, the storyteller. Like I was really excited to have people read that, and most people were like, "Oh, that's cool story, bro." And I'm like, "You guys didn't see all the different things in there? There's like all sorts of like hidden stuff in there. Like even the thing about David Brubeck, like
Brr.
yeah, like that. The where the guy he met him in 42 and again in 80. Like that's a prompt for you to look into this guy, and that'll give you more insight into what's going on with the story. But whatever. It's
Okay, so because I recently put up a piece of like short fiction as well. That the what was it called? The Why I Decided to Grow Hands.
yeah.
And that was like it was like a weird experience for me because it was one of the I've written poetry a lot, but haven't written fiction in like a decade. And I wasn't planning on writing fiction. I like sat down on a Saturday morning, and then it was like Sunday evening, and I'd been basically all of my free time that weekend has been spent writing, and I just got like obsessed with it. And I was like, I don't even know like where these ideas are coming from, but I was like desperate to like if I wasn't at the keyboard, I was desperate to get back to the keyboard and to like keep trying to like capture this thing. And I hadn't been like caught up in something like that in just a long time. And so like I'm like stoked, like, oh my gosh, like I finished a short story. And I sent it out to like some of my writer friends or whatnot. And everybody responds like, I need to read it a second time. Like nobody says I like it. Nobody says I don't like it. Everybody just goes, yeah, I need to read it a second time. And I was like, well, what do I do with that? So then I'm pestering Jane, my wife, and she goes, Ethan, there is no way I could sit down and read what you wrote after work. I'm too exhausted. She's
Mhm.
like, maybe Saturday I'll have the energy to do it. And that kind of like I went like, oh my goodness, like the thing I wrote it's kind of more of like a puzzle box than just like an enjoyable piece of fiction.
Mhm.
And like it requires leisure time, probably. Like if it is good, it requires leisure time to be appreciated. And I was like,
Mhm.
we don't have leisure time. I mean,
Yeah.
so some of us do certainly, but and I think we probably do have the time, but we don't structure our lives in that way.
Mhm.
Everything we do is so fast for the most part. Um, and I just thought that was a really interesting insight that happened where I was like, because even like at Goodwill, sometimes after work I'll go to Goodwill and see if there's any records.
Yeah.
And I got a symphony. I don't remember which one. I don't remember even who the symphonist was. But it was one of those ones where it's like it requires 3 records to like hear the whole symphony. And
That's
I
six
like
sides.
yep. Um I listened to it, but I was like it was over the course of hours. I was like, oh yeah, I got to keep flipping the records. And it's like some of these things, just like, I don't know, the best art often, not always, but I don't know, that concept of leisure time really just kind of like struck me.
Hmm. Well, and well, that's why I really love that you read the pieces, and you kind of also like. I like that you read the plaque. I like that you. I don't know if you made the art piece itself, the cartoon itself. But you shared that. Like, well, I learned a while ago when I first started being attracted to anything to do with any of this. Um, Way back in like 2016. Uh, I tripped over. My wife was telling me, girlfriend at the time, told me that you should check out Screw Tape Letters. And there's a couple of different books that she had recommended. One of them was Undaunted Courage. Another one was The Devil in the White City and Screw Tape Letters. So those are 3 books that she recommended that are really good. And um, I found The Devil in the White City in full on YouTube. It was on YouTube at one point. I don't know if it still is, but and I listened to that and that was amazing. And then also, I think right before that, I found Screw Tape Letters read by John Cleese from Monty Python. He read the whole thing. That is on YouTube. You can find that, and that was so incredible to listen to. Then I realized that I could never read the book as well as it was read to me by John Cleese. And I mean, and it's just a fact. I mean, the way he acted, it helped me. It helped because, like, and so that's when I started listening to audiobooks at work. Before I was listening to podcasts, I was listening to audiobooks because I can listen to an audiobook for like, 7 hours a day while I'm setting tile. And I really enjoyed that. And so I hardly read at all anymore. Like almost everything I do is just listening to books. And so, yeah, it requires a leisure or it requires a job that I can listen while I'm working. And so, yeah, I'm grateful that you read. And also, you're going to read the story far better than I'll be able to read the story because you'll be able to give it the kind of character that it needs, that the narrator is, that I won't be able to access. And so, yeah, you have like, I love the way that you read your story. It was a great story. It had me thinking about kind of like our love for celebrity. I was thinking about this. Where do we how is it that we like love bands like, the Eagles or Fleetwood Mac, or why do people love a Jackson Pollock painting or Jackson Pollock? Is it is it the painting or is it the story that he has? Um and is it like what is it about his story that we find so interesting? Is it the legend about the legend? And so that's what I was getting in your story was like I was kind of becoming really interested in this character who's an artist who I don't know, who has a tragic ending kind of. And like and what is our obsession with that? And so that was what I really loved about your story. It had me thinking about um well, it has us thinking about us. I think that's what like all great science fiction isn't about science at all. It's about people and the most real parts of people. It's not about the fiction as much as it's about where the fiction meets me as a person in my everyday life, you know. So like um I brought this book down because I wanted to share. Like I had this image in my head of how I wanted to start this conversation, but this is a good segue because have you ever read the book Llama Llama Red Pajama?
I don't think so.
Okay, so this is a good piece of technology right here. It's an outstanding piece of technology, and it says a lot about the technology that we are steeped in right now. You know, like the other day, I got a text message from somebody in Minnesota, and they are up in arms, and part of me is like, why are we like, what's the deal with this? Like, why are we so invested in these things? Like, and some of it is like this drama, and it's intrinsic. We love the drama, we just do. And I know this because I read this to my daughter. For she's 11 months old right now. We've been reading this to her for 6 months at least. And I don't know, 4 months ago, she started becoming very interested in the story. So I'm going to read it real quick.
Heck yeah. Hey, before you do, can we do
Yeah.
one thing?
Yeah.
Can we take just like a moment of silence?
Sure. Is that a good moment?
Let's do it.
Llama Llama Red Pajama. Red Pajama by Anna Dudney. Now, if you're really interested in the writer, look her up. It's very interesting. Anne and Chad, congratulations on your little bundle of joy. You will make the greatest parents. Love, Samantha. Llama Llama Red Pajama. Written and illustrated by Anna Dudney. Oh, there we go. Llama Llama Red Pajama reads a story with his mama. Mama kisses baby's hair. Mama Llama goes downstairs. Llama Llama Red Pajama feels alone without his mama. Baby Llama wants a drink. Mama's at the kitchen sink. Llama Llama Red Pajama calls down to his llama mama. Mama says, she'll be up soon. Baby Llama hums a tune. This is when she starts getting antsy. She really starts to become really animated. And she has, like, this, she started becoming really animated. When we started reading this, like 5 months ago, 4 or 5 months ago, she would be like visibly engaged with the story. Right? Llama Llama Red Pajama waiting for his mama. Mama isn't coming yet. Baby Llama starts to fret. Llama Llama Red Pajama whimpers softly for his mama. Mama Llama hears the phone. Baby Llama starts to moan. Llama Llama Red Pajama listens quiet for his mama. What is Mama Llama doing? Baby Llama starts boo-hooing. Llama Llama Red Pajama hollers loudly for his mama. Baby Llama stomps and pouts. Baby Llama jumps and shouts. Now she's starting to come unglued when she's listening to the story. She starts jumping, and I'm serious. I'm not like making this up. Llama Llama Red Pajama in the dark without his mama, eyes wide open, Covers drawn. What if Mama Llama's gone? She comes apart on this page every time. Llama, llama, red pajama, weeping, wailing for his mama. Will his mama ever come? Mama llama, run, run, run. Baby llama, what a tizzy. Sometimes mama's very busy. Please stop all this llama drama and be patient for your mama. At this point, she becomes like, no, she's like starting to turn back the pages. From here, she starts to lose interest in the story, which I always find really interesting. So she loves the drama of the story. Like she loves that tension. But as soon as you get here, she's like, I know where this is. I want the tension back. Little llama, don't you know? Mama llama loves you so. Mama llama's always near, even if she's not right here. Llama llama red pajama gets 2 kisses from his mama, snuggles pillow soft and deep. Baby llama goes to sleep. So, but when she gets to that part, this part where he's stomping and shouting, and then he's like this, he's freaking out, and then she starts running down the stairs. She just loves it. So I don't know. I think I wanted to say this because like it's a ridiculous little story, but she loves the story. And if a 7-year-old or 7-month-old is that attached to the drama, then that means there's something deeply within us that we don't know, we don't really know. And somehow Anna Dudney tapped into that. If you read on Reddit on some of that, some parents won't even read it to their kids because they get freaked out. And so when the thing about technology, the technologies that we have, it requires a type of responsibility. How much attention am I going back to that page over and over? Am I going back to that crazy page over and over? Am I scrolling? Like meanwhile life is happening, you know. Meanwhile actual life is just kind of, I'm not engaged with it because I'm stuck in this thing, like and it's interesting what the wisdom you can see in your children. And I don't know, it's on my mind. It's on my mind a lot because like what my friend in Minneapolis is upset with me with is I said it's none of my business, because it's not. I don't think that it is. And I know that sounds insensitive, but I have to wake up and go to work. I have to put in 8 hours. I have to not lose my shit while I'm there. I have to come home and put food on the table and be a husband and a father because I want to remain being a husband and a father. And if my mind is over in fucking Minneapolis, I can't do anything about that. I don't know. I don't know what to do about that. So it's frustrating. It's frustrating for everybody. And technology requires there's responsibility and a wisdom, which I don't think we're well acquainted with. And I think that it requires intentionality. And I mean, this is why I like dude, it's the common. Here's a TLC term: combinatorially explosive. Like there's too much happening. You can't make sense of all of it. You can't make sense of who to blame and who not to. I mean, it's like, because if I'm looking at over here who to blame and what to blame, I'm also ignoring what's going on over here, which is maybe very important. I don't know. It's like it's too much. It's too much. So, yeah.
Yeah, I heard this thing. I think it came from a conversation between Joe Rogan and Duncan Trussell, and Duncan said this thing that's it's just stuck with me for years. He was like, imagine if like a prairie dog, like the ones that go in and out of the holes.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine if a prairie dog had binoculars and it could see an eagle 1,000 miles away. It would just be screaming, "Eagle, eagle, eagle, eagle!" And so then everyone would, all the prairie dogs would be like living in fear in the hole. And then they'd get up and they'd look around, and maybe they wouldn't see that one, but they'd see another one that's 1,000 miles away. And like, none of those things are threats to them, but they would, because they could see the threat, they would always be in a threat state. Now, I think the Minneapolis thing, I think it's a far larger conversation that we don't have time for. Because I think I think there are arguments that could be legitimate. They could say, no, that is a threat, and that's coming to many cities. But I don't really want to go down that path just because we're close to the end of our time. But I think that, like, I was on Twitter the other day, and normally I just look at like the following feed, and then occasionally I'll like go over to like the For You feed because I'm just like curious.
Never been on Twitter.
Well, I guess well, it's X now, so but nearly every post in the For You feed has a little like red siren starting, and then it's like urgent, or it's all caps, and like every post is trying to like trigger, and I'm like, okay, we're pretty much at max capacity for you need my attention. And with AI, then that's doubling down, so it's like it's max capacity for state of threat, I think.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I really, so like I've said, I've never been on Twitter, I've never been on X, I've never done Instagram, and none of that stuff. I don't like. I know that I am not wise, and I have very bad attitude with, and I can be triggered real easily, and I get just like, I'll just be like, fuck off, and and because people get upset with me because I'm not paying a certain amount of attention to what it is they want me to pay attention to, and like, because I'll just be as simple as say, no, I don't think that what you say is true. I don't think that it is a threat that is coming to my city, because the people who are worried about it aren't stupid. Like and so it's a matter of like, I mean, that binoculars thing is so interesting, and the AI thing. Like, I'm not like I kind of am worried a little bit about AI, but it's not really AI. I'm worried about people not engaging with their own creativity. That's what I'm more interested in. And so, like, oh, yep, yeah.
Okay, so that's our time.
All right.
I do have a final question for you.
Yeah.
Feel free to finish any thought you're in the middle of if you want to. And then the final question is, like, the title of this kind of ongoing series where I wanted to talk to you about technology. The title of this one is Chad and the Search for the Holy Techne.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just curious, like, do you think we found anything holy today? And by holy, I kind of mean just the old definition of like set apart for, I mean, really the purposes of God.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think it has to do with if we're made in the image of God, one of the maybe one of the primary things is that we were created, and so thus we are creators. And I think there's a responsibility to being a creator, and that is to create. And so, yeah, I mean, if my 7-month-old can be moved by story, then that means that there's something deeply within us that we should be respecting and honoring. And yeah, sure, AI can write the story, but so can you. And why not you? Have you written one? Because it's fun. It's interesting. You don't have to be good at it to do it. You just, because maybe it's not about what's written also. Maybe it's about that you get to actually write it. My dog over here, he's not writing stories, and but I get to. And so, yeah, or a guy like Ren. If you go watch Ren's latest song, AI can't do that because there's a lot of imperfections in there that AI won't leave in there. You know, there's like the guitar solo is bad. You know, it's not, and I think it was made that way on purpose because we're flawed. Clearly, we're flawed, and maybe that's something that we should kind of embrace a little bit. Is that we are often flawed. That's okay.